Hello Tamers, it's Regina or Rejigglypuff here, and I'm super excited to bring you a deck profile for QueenBeemon. This is a deck that I've had my eye on for a while, and if you've watched any of my recent videos, you know how excited I've been to try to build this. I did have an iteration for this deck already ready, but then I started figuring out there were some problems that I had with the deck, so I've been tinkering around with it a little bit more. And I've come to this deck list in a really sort of roundabout way. It hasn't been fully tested as much as I would like to, but honestly, none of my decks are ever fully tested before I go into a tournament with them. So this one is going to go with me on a tournament in about a week or so, and we're going to see how it feels. But I have some fun ideas in this one, and I'll tell you about what I did switch out for as well, just so you can decide for yourself if you'd want to go with the original deck list. But the one thing that has not changed is the 4 Puroromon eggs. You need 4. If you're not running 4, go find the 4, because this one is the biggest way that you're going to get your security face up, because this allows you to place a card from your hand that has royal base as the face up bottom, and then you're going to add the top card. So you are going to need this to get the consistency that you want to have cards face up. That's really what this deck is consistently doing, right? You want to make sure you have a way to always get something face up and a way to add a card back into your hand. In a lot of ways, you can treat your security in this deck as sort of like a second hand, but also keep in mind that that means your opponent will also know what they're swinging into, so it makes it a little tricky in some ways, but at this point you basically have 2 hands: your hand in your actual hand and then your life. So Puroro 4 of, don't add a 5th egg. I don't think you should add a 5th egg, because if you run that 5th egg first, you're going to be setting yourself behind pretty badly with what you're trying to do with this deck, right? For our rookies, we are going to be running 8 different, 8 FunBeemons, not 8 different FunBeemons. They are 4 of each of the FunBeemons, the ones that you get in this set. The one that has an on play, which is going to be your uncommon version. This is the on play. You add a royal base from your hand as the bottom, and then you add the top card. And then this FunBeemon is a cost reducer. This is a rare FunBeemon. That's why it's a little bit shiny and has a pre-release version. But this FunBeemon is the one that you'll probably be evolving in the back on your Puroromons, because it does let you have a cost reduction for when you push it out. And this FunBeemon is, hey, you know what? I have this in my hand. Let me evolve it onto the Puroromon, and then just hard play this so you can already have something face up and you can get your game plan going immediately. These are unfortunately the only level 3s that you currently have access to. Hopefully there's more in the future, but a full playset of each is absolutely needed. As for the other level 3s, I'm running 2 KoKabuterimons. These KoKabuterimons are the ones from BT16. They have an on-play effect of you reveal the top 4 cards of your deck, and then you add a card with Insectoid. The Insectoids are almost everything in the deck, including the KoKabuterimon itself. And when I say almost, it's because of the other 2 rookies I'm running here. But the KoKabuterimon is just nice because, 1, it lets you dig 4 deep into your deck and lets you try to find pieces that you might be missing. And it's unfortunate that the level 4s do have to evolve for their full cost on top of it, but it is a nice search, and in case you don't feel like evolving on top, it's still a body you can swing with a lot of the times. And if there's no blocker or redirect, it's just a free check into security, right? The Inherit is also pretty neat. While this Digimon suspended, it gets plus 1k, so it, with the added boost of your face-up security and then maybe any possible other inherits, it makes your Digimon on top of this one a little bit more powerful. But I'm only running this as a 2 of. I was trying it at a 3, and it never felt great to really have it, so I wanted to just sort of mitigate the feelings that I would get from that. Which actually brings me to my last 2 rookies. These are going to be Tinkermons. Yeah, I know, I'm adding in another color. It's red. This is going to be a red, black, and green deck. The only reason I'm running in these Tinkermons is, besides the fact that it has a your turn effect, so when this or one of your Tamers would evolve into a dual color red or green, you reduce it by 1. I love the fact that it has piercing. It has piercing. I love this. Why? When I was playing with this deck, I realized a lot of the times I felt that I wanted to be able to clear the board more and more often, and only one level 6 gives you the piercing, but it's not the one that I was swinging with the most often. So I wanted a way to try to give something piercing, and I also like the cost reduction because it does mean that you're evoing for the same way that you are with the FunBeemons. The only other downside to this is that it does cost 1 to evolve on top of your Puroros, but because it's a 3-drop rookie as well, there's nothing terrible about just hard playing it if you need to. Just because, like, it's a body you can have it on the field already, and then you'll get that cost reduction for the evolution. So it is probably the only card in the entire deck that's only searchable, the only 2 cards in the deck that's only searchable by 1 other card inside the deck. and it is not searchable by the KoKabuterimon. But that's about it for the rookies, and then we're going to go into the level 4s. The level 4s I only have 8 of. I know, I'm screaming on the inside as well, but it's because I wanted to keep it as pure as possible for the level 4s. So we're running 4 of the Waspmon, and this Waspmon is on your opponent's turn. None of their Digimon who have as much or less DP as this specific Digimon can attack players, which means if you stack your security properly and you get the right inherits, this could be about, I don't know, like a 9k body potentially, but it's really just a nice way to stop your opponents from rookie rushing you. At the end of the day, if you're constantly digivolving them or deleting their bigger bodies, they can't, you know, like hard play like that Rush Guillaumon and swing for game because you're going to be at 4k and they are only at like 3. So I really like having this on the field more often than not. But the ForgeBeemon is also the same way. This is the other set of level 4s from this that are royal base. This one is all turns. When one of your other Digimon with royal base and its traits would leave the battlefield by effects, then by placing this card as the bottom of your security, then it doesn't leave. So it does go at the bottom as face up, so you already get like the plus 1k for the security effect. It's also a nice way to protect your Digimon. And the biggest reason that I think this is one of the best cards too is there's a lot of cards out there that say when a Digimon is deleted or when a Digimon is like added to your hand, you can prevent those effects from popping off by placing this card at the bottom. So for example, with a Leviamon, right? So if the Leviamon's effect were to delete your board, you can place this as the bottom, and because the Leviamon doesn't delete that Digimon, they don't gain the memory. Or with the ancient Garurumon from last set, the one that when it comes onto the field that you add the you return the like lowest like level or lowest DP Digimon on your field to your hand. This one will you just tuck it under security, and then that effect doesn't resolve for them. They don't get that extra bonus, right? So this is a really nice way to get around a lot of those like deletion effects or return to hand effects. The ForgeBeemon sort of stops that. For those level 4s, I did originally have 2 Togemons, mostly because the Togemons had a nice evolution, and being able to suspend itself to play a green Tamer was really nice. But the more I played, the more I realized the Togemon didn't feel right for me in terms of gameplay, because every time I had it in my hand, I was like, I need this to be a different level 4 instead. That was the main reason why I ended up cutting it. So that's it for the level 4s. For our level 5s are also pretty pure. We are going with the 4 CannonBeemons. Don't play 5, that's cheating. This CannonBeemon also has the rule is treated as an insectoid type alongside the ForgeBeemons, which means your KoKabuterimons can find all your 4s and all your 5s and all your 6s. So the CannonBeemon, the on-play when digivolving is for each of your face-up security cards, you digivolve one of your opponent's Digimon. So the way that it's worded means that, let's say you have 3 face-up security cards and your opponent has 2 Digimon. You can choose to digivolve each one once, and then the third one you can the third digivolution you can choose for one of them again. It's because you choose one for each face up. So you can choose the same one twice, right? It'll just count as like 2. So like if these 3 are face up, you can choose 2 of them for one and then 1 for the other, versus a card that says choose one of your opponent's Digimon to digivolve them for each face up. But it says for each of these, you choose one. Wording in Digimon is really weird and it can get really confusing. I strongly recommend that you guys use whatever judges you have at your disposal, because that's what they're there for. And it's always better to get a clarification on questions like this than it is to accidentally mess it up. I do love the inherit as well. The inherit is when this Digimon deletes one of your opponent's Digimon in battle, you trash the top card of the security. For some reason, this seems to be a consistent thing for a bunch of green and black level 5s. I'm looking at you, Rapidmon. That Rapidmon is so disgusting. It also has a Digivolution, actually. But I love this one a lot. I think the Digivolve mechanic is super strong. I still think it is one of the strongest mechanics that Bandai has, and very few things have protection from Digivolve. Then the other level 5s in this are going to be the Vespamons. The Vespamons are also going to have an on-play when digivolving. You get to delete one of your opponent's Digimon with a play cost of 2 or less, and then for each one of your face up, you add to the play cost maximum. This one is a little weird because if you don't have any face up, then the on-play when digivolving is a little bit tougher. It does have the same inherit as the Vespamon. 9 times out of 10, this is the card that I want to put in security versus the CannonBeemon. Just because I think CannonBeemon has a better when digivolving effect, and they both have the same security effect. I just think that the Vespamon is better served in security. So, also, quick note, the easiest way to remember what your security effect will do is the 3s and 4s give you a plus DP boost, and the 5s are what give you blocker. So, there's that. Now for the 6s, We're only running 2 kinds of 6s. Big surprise here. It's going to be the TigerVespamon. They are a 4 of. I love this card way more than I thought I would. So the TigerVespamon is really cool. Also treated as Insectoid because of that little roll box. It's got Piercing and it's got Reboot, which is super neat because as long as you have something with blocker in your security, then this is a scary blocker. It's like a 12k at minimum blocker that has Piercing and that has Reboot. The reason this thing is really cool, it has both an on-play and a when digivolving effect. So, for each of your face-up security cards, you suspend one of your opponent's Digimon, and then none of their Digimon can unsuspend until the end of the turn. Because of the way this card is worded, that means that if they were to suspend something by their own effect, they cannot unsuspend it. It's like a mini lock, so those of you who know how much I enjoy Rosemon, and Rosemon Burst Mode, it sort of acts the same way, right? Like, you can choose 2 Digimon, or like you can choose Digimon to rest and stun, but any other effects that would cause them to unsuspend until the end of, like, before the end of their turn cannot activate because of the way that this card is worded. So, the other fun thing is all turns once per turn, when other Digimon are deleted in battle, this Digimon can unsuspend. It is only once per turn effect, but it's very funny because you can block with it. Something else might get deleted and you can unsuspend and you'll have like a second block potentially. Or you can swing with Piercing, delete something on their field, and unsuspend and do it all over again. I think it's actually a very, very powerful card, and I love the fact that it has a stun and it has Reboot and it has a way to unsuspend itself on either turn. I genuinely think that this card is probably one of the most aggressive ones in the deck, and it's just very, very fun to go into. Which actually leads me to the Queen Bee of this deck, which is the QueenBeemon. She is also out of 4 of in this deck just because I think having all both the level 6s out of 4 of is really nice and powerful. I'm not planning to run any level 7s just because I want to take advantage of the royal base stuff as much as possible. So this one has Alliance, which is so freaking funny to me. I love that. I don't know anything about bees very much. I just know that there's like 1 queen. We're running 4 of them. I can't be that thematic, guys. So this one has a 1 attacking effect. You can play a royal base trait card from your face-up security with a play cost reduced by 8. So if there is a Digimon on the field that says players can't reduce play cost, which I think is just this is one of the Psychmons for sure, then you cry a little bit because you have to pay the full cost for it. But honestly, if you stack your security properly, this becomes such a powerhouse of a card. So all turns, when any of your royal-based trait Digimon would leave the battle area other than by battle, you can place that Digimon face up as the bottom security card. So the way that this works is a little bit different than the level 4 because she can actually place herself into the battlefield versus the level 4, which says one of your others. So this one could just work for any of them. The reason this deck is really funny is you can attack with the QueenBeemon and then play out the TigerVespa for free. For free, but like play cost of 4. And then you can swing Alliance the TigerVespa, so you can have a 24k body at minimum swinging. And then when something gets deleted, the TigerVespa unstands, which it's pointless because, you know, it has Reboot. It's just funny. But this is the biggest reason why I wanted the Tinkermons, is because I really wanted to give this QueenBeemon Piercing. TigerVespa has it on its own. Queen Bee getting Piercing is really funny to me, and I hope it happens. But that's going to be it for the Digimon in this one, and then we're going to move on to the Tamers. The Tamers were interesting. So originally I wanted to keep it pure grade, and then a friend came up to me and gave me this really great idea and was like, hey, you should consider running these Tamers in there. And you'll see what I'm talking about in a second. But our first Tamers that we're running are going to be 4 of the Winrs. This is going to be the Royal Base Tamer, and honestly, if you see this in your opening hand along with a with one of the FunBeemons, you're actually perfectly set. It has a start of main phase trigger. If you have a face-up security card, you gain a memory, and then main, you can suspend this Tamer for one of your Digimon, so it doesn't matter if they're Royal Base or not. Will evo into a Digimon from the face-up security cards. If this effect digivolved this way, you can place a Digimon card with the Royal Base trait from your hand as face-up as the bottom security card. So, interestingly enough, this Winr doesn't specify that the Digimon that's evolving has to evolve into a Royal Base trait, but it's mostly because all of your cards in face-up security are going to be Royal Base at that point, right? But this is nice because it really drives home that your security is going to be a second hand at this point. And I really like having the options to be able to like place cards into your into your security face up, and then just sort of manipulating it that way, so you never really have to feel bad about activating the Puroromon if you have the Winr. Because if you're thinking, looking at your hand thinking, oh, I only have 1 level 4, I don't want to like put it into like my security to grab the top card and know what that is. The Winr punishes that less, right? You can put it in as your bottom life, and then the Winr will let you evolve into that. So really at the end of the day, like, you're able to manipulate your hand in a very roundabout way, and I love that. So now we're going to go to the interesting choices that I think I'm making for this deck, and that involves my Tamers. Yep, you can see it right over there. I am going to be running 2 Kotas and 2 Yujis. So the reason being is I really wanted a memory Tamer in this deck because the memory is so important, especially when we're running a lot of cards that cost a little bit more to either evolve with the KoKabuteri and with the Tinkermons. The Kota is a memory tamer. It is a 4-cost memory tamer, and it has an on-play effect. You reveal the top 4 cards of your deck, and you add 1 card with X antibody and its traits among them to your hand, and then you place everything else to the bottom. So the really, really fun part about this deck is, besides being Insectoids and Royal Base, all of these have X antibody in them. They're also sideboards, so you Machinegimon players, yeah, you can use it. That's funny. But the fact is, this is another search, so it's another way to fix your hand, and it's a memory tamer. I was blown away when my friend mentioned it. I was like, oh my god, you're a genius, you're correct. This is actually kind of crazy, because I think the deck struggles a little bit with searches as well, and wanting memory on top of it. It did replace what I originally had as Izzy Azumi's. So all of my original Insectoid players from BT15 will know what I'm talking about. But this Izzy is also a memory tamer and has a redirect. And when I was playing this deck, the redirect came up 0 times. And it never felt really great to have it on the field. I think having the extra search is way more beneficial. And also it'll throw off your opponent, I think, right? But it's a memory tamer and it has a search. And I think that's just super important to the deck. I think searching and finding pieces are so valuable in a lot of ways, and I really love that you can do that with this. So then you're probably asking, well, then why are you running the Yujis too? Because the Yujis are really funny as well. Because one, they're a 3-cost tamer, but they also give you memory and extra draw. So when one of your Digimon with X antibody in its traits is moved from the breeding area to your battle area, then you gain a memory and you draw 1. Again, this won't work for the Tinker, and this won't work for the KoKabuterimon, but it'll work for all of your Beemons. And if you evolve on top of all of them into your level 4s, 5s, and 6s, you also get the draw and the memory. And I think having the extra memory every single turn is really nice, because it makes it easier for your QueenBeemon to keep turn if you were to play the TigerVespamon off of it, right? The draw is just really nice, and then the extra memory, always really great. And it's technically a memory gained by tamer effect, so you won't get screwed over by floodgates. It also has a really neat your turn effect, so when one of your black Digimon with X antibody in its trait, which is all of your levels 4, 5, and 6s, then you can suspend this to add a card with X antibody in its traits from your hand under as its bottom Digivolution cards. The reason I think this is funny is, like, could you just imagine 2, like, Vespamon inherits underneath, so you trash 2 and you can check. But you probably won't be using that second effect as often. I just think the extra memory and the draw 1 is really nice. The extra memory especially because I found out that a lot of the struggles that I had with this deck was I would evolve into the Queen Bee and it would pass turn, and it was a little bit rough because it never felt like I had as much memory as I wanted to in the deck. So hopefully the Yuji fixes that. And that's it for the Tamers. But now we're going to go into our options. I'm only running 2 agility trainings. As you can tell, the only ones it won't search on here are the Yujis, and this is one of the only ways to search your Tinkermons. Agility trainings, the reason I cut it down to 2, when I was play testing this deck a little bit, I realized that the agility trainings weren't ever really a card that I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to play this and I'm like excited to have it. It was very rare for me to want to just be able to like pop the agility training and keep going that way. Because as far as I know, you cannot stack the agility trainings with a Winr's effect, which makes it a little bit difficult because of the way that it's worded, because it's a main effect, so you suspend this. And it says one of your Digimon may digivolve into a Digimon card face up. I think the way that the Winr is worded means you have to do it in that moment. It's not like hidden potential discovered, which is the next time one of your Digimon would digivolve, right? This is a you suspend and you have to do it immediately. You please correct me if I'm wrong. But the agility training is also the same way, right? The minute you like delay the agility training, you have to evolve, because if you do something else before you evolve, you lose the delay on it. So because of the way that they didn't feel like synergistic with each other, I decided to cut the agility trainings down just a little bit. And now to our final couple of options. 2 Hornet erasers. I am thinking of bumping it up to 3. This card is absolutely busted. I love this card so much. It cost 8, sure, but we don't care about that part because this card is disgustingly mean. So it has the same security effect as the main effect, and the main effect is you place a Digimon card with a royal base trait from your trash face up as your bottom security card. That's so crazy. We're a yellow deck now, guys. We recover. That's wild. And then you delete up to 8 play cost total worth of your opponent's Digimon. Then for each of your face-up security card, you add 2 to this effect's play cost maximum. Deleting 8 cost worth of Digimon on your opponent's battlefield is at minimum a level 5 for the most part. A lot of level 5s are 8 cost, so which means you can just delete something that they were probably hoping to build into a level 6. That deletes a lot of aces, so you're basically getting this for a cheapened cost if you delete an ace. But then for every single one of your face-up security cards, which at this point you should maybe have like 2 or 3 of them, you add 2 more to this. This could be such a devastating board wipe, and it has been a devastating board wipe for me before, because it also lets you recover 1. So if they delete an entire stack of yours, if you have this card in your security or in your hand, perfectly fine. It's really, really nice. The fact that it also has Liberator as Liberator and Royal Base as a trait means that it implies to me that we might get a search for it eventually. But this is just such a good security bomb, and it's a good card to have in your hand. The other last 2 options I'm actually also running are Giant Missiles, which are also an 8 cost. I have hard played this before because it has saved me a turn. You suspend one of your opponent's Digimon, and then you return one of their suspended Digimon to the bottom of their deck, and then one of their Digimon can't unsuspend until the end of their turn. Great security effect as well. It is also the same as the main effect. Also an 8 cost option, surprisingly, but also feels less bad if you're targeting an ace somehow, but this could potentially save you a turn or 2. I have had games where like sometimes I wish this was a Giant Missile and sometimes I wish this was a Hornet Eraser, so I'm still waffling between the ratios on them. I do love them both as options. Hornet Eraser is just extra funny to me if you have enough security face up. Giant Missile is just generically a good option card to run. So that's actually just it for the Bees deck. I have been enjoying it a lot more than I expected it, and the biggest fear that I had when playing it was trying to get my security face up, and it's surprisingly really, really easy. So this deck overall, I think, is not quite a sleeper pick. I think people are starting to understand that it can be a very dangerous deck to play against just because there's so much manipulation that you can do. And in any card game where you can pick and choose how your hand is sculpted, that is a dangerous deck. But I'm actually really excited to test out the 2 Black Tamers in this one. I think they're very neat choices. My friends are super smart, and I wish to be as clever as they are in that way. I also think that they're just a really neat include, so I'm really looking forward to seeing how they work for the deck. So that's about it. So if you end up playing this deck, let me know how you feel about these choices, or if you ended up using the Izzies and the Togemons, or what other cards you might have used. I know that there is somebody out there who also wanted to use a Gaia Reactor. A Gaia Reactor is funny, but I really love just this deck right now, and I'm really excited to play with it. So thanks for watching, and you have a wonderful day.